All right, so I have Tuesdays as being part of entrepreneurial mindset, maybe some tips or tricks or hacks or things that can sort of help us with our mindset, right, as entrepreneurs. And I can't, I can't help but change it up. I'm still going to do that, but I'm changing up some of the content that I had thought about a little in advance for today. Because on my way back out of the city a few minutes ago, a song that I've laughed at. It's got some good music and stuff to it, and they're a band that I really like. Train. I'll put a link maybe to the YouTube video or something here. I try not to play music too much anymore after having been caught a few times for letting it run a little long. But when you listen to 50 Ways to Say Goodbye, which obviously is also in the song if you're familiar with it, or if you choose to listen to it as 50 Ways to Say You Died. It comes down to the poor guy's, his humiliation, if you will, in the fact that he's been dumped, right? And he doesn't want to have to admit it. And how is he going to face people? And there's a whole video built around the song, and so you know if I look back at even the course that we've just launched, the Overcoming Obstacles, part of what I talk about in there flies a little bit initially in the face of what most entrepreneurial coaches or gurus out there would have you think, which is, as an entrepreneur, you can't ever give up. As an entrepreneur, you just need to keep pushing forward and so on. And unfortunately, that's not always taught in context. And so part of the course that we did that I put out was that, it talks about, you don't ever give up until it's time to give up, right? You don't ever let things go unless you know that it's the right thing to do, right? And that sometimes it does come to that point. It is time to let go. It is time to move on. And so if you need to come up with 50 ways to say that your business idea or product or connection or partnership or whatever died, so be it. But I encourage you nonetheless to come to terms with the fact that it has, and be able to align yourself more effectively and efficiently and more positively with what it is that you're going to do next, or maybe with what you're already doing, but this was also a sideline that has distracted you. Okay, does that make sense? So I guess, and this video can't go into the whole thing. Of course, it's one of the modules, or one of the lessons. Sorry, one of the 20 lessons in the course. But it's just to go to say, listen, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are looking at not feeling aligned with something that's that's in your business that you don't feel is working as well, if you're not feeling it anymore, if there's no passion or love for it or no drive for it, if the motivation that you used to have in your business with that particular part is no longer there, then I want you to take a close look at why it's not there any longer. Okay, it could just be that you're tired. It could be that you need a reset, right? It could be that you need to tweak it a little bit. It might not be that you need to leave it all together, right? You may not need to come up with some elaborate reason for why it's no longer working to explain to others, and I'll touch on that in a second. But maybe it's time to move away from it. Okay, and that leads me to the second part, and what I just touched on was the why, right? And who you're beholden to with regards to, having to admit when something hasn't worked. I've had tons that hasn't worked in my life, tons of business ideas and opportunities that I've worked through that maybe didn't go the way I wanted. My expectations were set improperly according to what was available, or any other variety of reasons, right? But what I would suggest to you that the ultimate reasoning, if you will, is just that it didn't, right? And that you chose to move away from it, and that the only person that really needs to feel good about that is you, right? The person who needs to be able to identify with the why is you. Obviously, subsequently there may be other people whose lives or livelihoods are impacted by your decision, and that is something you will also have to come to terms with. But you need to be able to understand that you need to first and foremost satisfy yourself in your own entrepreneurial journey and endeavor, and not just everyone else. Because if you're only running or operating your venture for others, there will come a time where that venture will ultimately fail or not serve others as it could or should, because you will no longer feel vested in it so much as for your energy and your personal alignment. Okay, personal or professional for that matter. So that's kind of a bit of a precursor, if you will, to you, encouragement to you, an invitation to you to do some of the work. Okay, so to take a good look at what it is you feel that may not be working the way that you thought it would or the way that it has been in the past. Is that something that can or should be fixed? Is it something that can or should be tweaked? Can you come up with one of 50 reasons to make it happen? And if not, can you come up with one of 50 reasons why it shouldn't, and use that as your departing statement, if you will, for why it's no longer part of your offering or no longer part of your services. Okay, so that's my invitation to you. As always, get after it, if you will, as I like to say, as do many others. But the opportunity is there, and the only person who can pull that pin, the only person who can make those decisions, if it's your venture, if it's your business, is you. And the same goes for life. It's not just entrepreneurs. It's just that I happen to be talking directly to my entrepreneurial contacts today because it's Tuesday and that's what I do every second Tuesday. But it works for anyone in life. If it's family, if it's if it's something that you're doing for your work, if it's something that you do as a pastime, whatever it happens to be, if it's something that you're no longer feeling aligned with, you need to decide whether or not that's ever going to come back and whether or not it should. Okay, and no matter what your reasoning, well, how am I ever going to admit? How am I ever going to tell so and so? How am I ever going to, when people ask me at a party, how? Well, as this train will tell you, they very, very quickly and easily come up with, 50 ways to say that X died, as opposed to having to say that they've been dumped. I don't condone the lying or having to be untruthful. Obviously, I want you to be authentic, but jokingly, tongue in cheek, I'm telling you that that there are all sorts of ways to be able to justify having taken that positive action, as there are excuses that you're coming up with to otherwise not take action. So get out there and get after it. Have an extraordinary Tuesday. Be well.